In the summer of 1969, on a dairy farm in upstate New York, something happened that no one could have planned for, and no one would ever forget. They called it Woodstock. It began as a business idea. 4 young promoters wanted to build a recording studio and needed a concert to fund it. They expected maybe 50,000 people to show up on a farm in Bethel, New York. 500,000 came instead. For 3 days, August 15th through 18th, 1969, the New York State Thruway shut down. Cars stretched for 17 miles. People abandoned their vehicles on the highway and walked the rest of the way, carrying sleeping bags and guitars, just to be part of something they couldn't yet name. Max Yasgur, the farmer who owned the land, watched as a sea of young Americans transformed his cow pasture into the largest gathering of its kind in American history. The rain never stopped. The mud was endless. Food ran short. Toilets overflowed. By any normal measure, it should have been a disaster. Instead, it became something sacred. Richie Havens opened the festival, forced to play for nearly 3 hours because no other acts had arrived yet. He improvised a song on the spot, Freedom, born purely out of necessity, and it became one of the most iconic performances in American music history. Janis Joplin sang like she was bleeding from the inside out. The Who tore through a set as the sun came up. Sly and the Family Stone had 500,000 people dancing in the mud at 4 in the morning. And then there was Jimi Hendrix. He closed the festival on Monday morning, August 18th, to a crowd that had dwindled to an exhausted, mud-soaked few thousand. He picked up his guitar and played the Star-Spangled Banner, twisting it, bending it, making it scream and weep through distortion and feedback. It wasn't just a national anthem anymore. It was a generation's anthem. A sound that captured the chaos, the protest, the heartbreak, and the hope of America in 1969. This was a country at war with itself. Vietnam was tearing families apart. Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy had both been assassinated the year before. The civil rights movement was still fighting for ground. Young men were being drafted straight out of high school. The generational divide in America had never felt wider. And yet on that farm in Bethel, 500,000 strangers shared food, shared shelter, shared music, and shared peace. There was almost no violence, no riots, just rain, mud, and a fragile electric sense that maybe, just maybe, a different kind of America was possible. Woodstock became known by a phrase that still echoes today: 3 days of peace and music. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even fully planned. But it captured something America desperately needed to believe about itself in that moment: that an entire generation could come together, against all odds, and choose harmony over chaos. The festival ended on a Monday morning. The farm was left in ruins, mud, garbage, abandoned tents stretching as far as the eye could see. Max Yasgur lost crops and money, but he never expressed regret. He told the remaining crowd that 500,000 young people had proven something to the world, that they could gather peacefully, despite a nation telling them they couldn't. Woodstock would go on to define an entire cultural movement. It became shorthand for an era, for rock and roll, for protest, for the counterculture, for a generation that refused to accept the world exactly as it was handed to them. More than 50 years later, the music from that weekend is still played. The footage is still watched. The names, Hendrix, Joplin, The Who, Santana, are still spoken with reverence. Because Woodstock wasn't just a concert, it was a mirror held up to America. Chaotic, imperfect, soaking wet, and somehow, for 3 days, exactly the country so many people were hoping it could become. And the echo of that summer has never fully faded.